I wanted to do this video a long time ago. This is about how to play fast improvisation. First thing I'm going to say, even though this is mainly for bass players, you have to learn how to play guitar, because the guitar, on the bass you're going to have the chords and the alterations. To this, the bass cannot do that. The bass can do maybe, it's too low, so you're not going to get the same sound as when you learn how to play guitar or piano. So if you can play piano, good, practice with the piano. If not, you can play the guitar. Say, I didn't plan anything today. I'm improvising as I go, so bear with me, okay? I had a teacher that always told me, if they ask you to do a bass solo, you take it, okay? That was Potter Smith, great bass player, and I studied with him in MI. But I would like to add something to that statement. If they ask you to do a solo, you take it. And if they don't ask you, then you ask that you want a solo, okay? Because we have to, advocate for bass solos, and especially in pop music. It's always the same guitar, sax, and piano. Keyboard, guitar, sax, keyboard, guitar, sax. The first thing is that you don't really need to be a fast improviser to be a good bass player. 90% of the work that we do is comping, it's groove, is how to play with the band, how to be, like this with the drummer. If he's a good drummer, you're gonna be like that. You're gonna follow him. Just groove, It's just tumbao. So it's about reading and just playing what they tell you to play. But there's always that little 10% that we want to do. We want to do fast. Yeah. And the reason why we need to do that is because everything is excitement now. Today, you don't get a big reaction from the audience if you don't do something at least relatively fast. You don't have to play like 100,000 notes. If they're wrong, that's also a mistake. But or if you're just repeating, you don't have to do that. But you can. But basically, what you need to do is learn the chords and learn the scales, so that you can have an idea of the sound that chord is supposed to have as inside harmony. It's harmony. You need to know your harmony. Even if you're not just going to play bass, by doing good solos, you are going to be a better bass player as a comping player. Because when you are doing the solos, you gotta be fast. You gotta know what you're doing. So once you know what you're doing, you know all the scales, you know all the harmony. You're just gonna control the instrument. Like I said, you don't have to be like Van Halen on the bass, but you have to have variety for the excitement. When you do a solo, usually you should be thinking about the melody, variations on the melody, for the first chorus. Then you can kind of like make your own melody, do more passing notes, do more other techniques that I don't know if I can get to every technique in one video, but I'll mention some of them. Repetition is important. Repetition, you can repeat like that, which is just plain repetition. It's perfectly good. You can also do displacing the repetition. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Playing the same thing but in different places in time, in the meter. There's so many kinds of repetition that you can also repeat harmonically, which is what they call sequence. You know, like when you do, let me take this tune, easy tune, Autumn Leaves. Alright, so that so the same thing when you're improvising. It's a sequence because it's the same kind of motif, but you're just changing it with the melody. One little motif, and you just change the note to fit the harmony, but you stay in the same area instead of going with the chords. And so you can use that as repetition also. You gotta have repetition. If not, it's not music. Simple as that. If you go it doesn't really tell you anything because it's like talking a lot of words and you don't have any context. Talking about context, I'm going to give you a little hint on how to play faster. But if you can't play that fast, it's okay. You just have to start then a little slower so that when you play your fastest, which might not be that fast, but then it sounds exciting, still sounds exciting. So it's all relative, you know. So if you start now when I'm playing taka, 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 8 notes, it sounded fast because I started with a quarter note and the other quarter and space, you know. All of those things you have to use. It's just like talking, you know. You speak, and when you say something important, you stop. Like if you're like a politician talk, you know. This country needs a change. And we are going to provide that change in the future. You know, so you have to, it's kind of dramatic talking also, like poetic, you know. You don't want to just, and when the talk, you know, on the radio you hear, oh, this morning at 4:05 there was an accident. It's like you hear this. If you only use the same note, same speed of note, it becomes a little monotonous and boring because the rhythm is the most important part of music, you know, and of course the harmony. But okay, also excitement you can get it also not by only playing fast, but by playing the right notes at the right time. So, you know, you don't only have to play fast, but know when to play those sharp 9s, flat 13s, the augmented, the diminished fifths. All of that gives you also excitement. Well, now let's get to the technique of playing fast. If you can't play fast, maybe the most common thing that I can tell is that you're moving too much. You're trying to go like, and this is taking a lot of time for you to play fast. Best way to play fast is small movements. See, if you see that, I'm just, and I'm playing it on the harder part of the string. If you notice, the strings are really like a trampoline here, but here they become like almost like wood. So if you can do this, then I can be able to do that. And synchronization, okay? You have to synchronize both hands. You don't want to go because it sounds like a beginner, you know. So it's better to go slow. Try to breathe, even if you don't need to breathe, because here on the guitar you can do, unless you're playing Baroque style solo, which is another way of repetition and another technique that you can use for a variety in your solo. You can, you can go this way, you can go this other way. It's like you have many ways to get to the same place. You could do a continuous solo like but if you do that, you gotta stop at a certain moment and breathe, let people, like the pause when you talk. All right, so I think that's gonna be it for this video because it's getting a little long. You can do exercises with scales, patterns. And try to keep it straight, the same rhythm. Or you can, just solo. And always remember to, have that start in here, climax, and then come down and finish your solo. Usually the best solo works when you let people know, okay, this is the fastest I'm gonna play, the most intense, and this is gonna be my resolution, and you kind of like have some kind of shape. And in jazz, there are many other things to consider. Most jazz players do four choruses or 8, depending on the length of the chorus itself. But for autumn leaves, maybe 4. Eventually, when you go to that 4th chorus, should be the most interesting chorus that you do. So you don't want to be playing in the 4th chorus. You want to be maybe. Or playing fast. But just keep that in mind, this small movement, synchronization, and variety. That's what you need in your solo, and within having some kind of curve, like in intensity curve. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope that this helps a little bit. I just decided to share a little bit of my experience and my humble little things that I've studied before I die, because sometimes you don't know when you're gonna die. So if I die tomorrow, at least I did this one. All right, so.